Right, Coach Helen for You Fit Studio. Right, let's rock and roll. Now, how to live guilt-free. Okay, so somebody think, oh, it's along the same lines as the last few days. Kind of and kind of not, right? So, how to live guilt-free. Now, this is not just aimed at these people. There is actually a large portion of people at the minute, yes, doing a drop one size challenge with us online, and also because this is like a nice rounded 4-week period of time, we've got quite a few people kind of doing a their own kind of little challenge, maybe basically for these few weeks, right? Because it's nice contained period of time, runs nicely into December, and so why not run a little bit of summit, right? So running a little bit of summit to keep them running for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Now, what does that tend to bring out in people? It tends to bring out that kind of mentality where it's all or nothing, right? Which is okay to some degree for a period of time. But then there's sometimes be a little of a crossover, right? In terms of behaviours when it comes to guilt and eating off plan, right? So I talked the other day, I talked about coffee breaks, right? I talked about coffee breaks versus where people use the word binge, or if they ruin their diet, right? Where I was talking about how perceptually somebody won't see the cup of coffee and the biscuit and the muffin as breaking away from their diet or ruining the diet or binging, and yet if they sat in at 3 or 4 chocolate bars, they would see that as binging and create guilt around it, even though calorifically there's more calories to have the coffee and the muffin, for example, which is like 700 calories, wasn't it? Something like that. So it's a hell of a lot more calories than actually just having the chocolate and not calling it what it was, right? So often when it comes to guilt and food, what we tend to focus on is the one big event, right? And not the rest of the diet that's going on, right? So we focus on the one thing. And that's where sometimes the language that we use when we're talking about eating away from our normal standard, that's where we create some of the guilt. So whilst it's about calories, yeah, it's also about how you describe it and what language you use to yourself. Now, the things I hear would be binge is big one. I binged on chocolate, I binged on biscuits, I've wrecked, I did so well and then I ruined it. That's usually a common state. I ruined it, I wrecked it, I used another word, but I fudged it. I ate fudge and fudged it. I ate a lot of fudge and fudged it a lot. Being polite here. It's not like me, is it? I'm not using swear words. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it? However, it's the language of which you use around it sometimes that highlights that singular event, right? So we then some people attach a level of guilt around it, and your words that you tell yourself when you are eating away from your average week is where the guilt comes from, or where you create the guilt. Okay, so I'm not suggesting that it's not being aware. So you're obviously going to be aware if you're eating excessive calories away from the standard. But it's also about understanding the words you're using to yourself and how you're what's the word? How's the terminology? I would say how someone is telling themselves off for it. So you've got to appreciate that. You've got to accept you've done it. You've got to own you've done it. I'm not saying to ignore it either. But also, if you berate yourself over and over, and yet you're still not aware of the bigger picture of your diet or of what you're eating, it becomes counterproductive. Now, why, going back to the beginning, why now? Why bring this in as a live, or why adapt this to the current situation? Because of that mentality of 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to be really good this time. I'm going to be really healthy this lockdown. I'm going to exercise regularly. I'm going to be different with my food. Yes, I've got this. And then inevitably, I mean, Diwali is upon us to start with. If it wasn't Diwali, I do genuinely believe this weekend would be the weekend, because it's like enough in, right? It's halfway through. So do I think this would have happened if it was Diwali or not anyway? Yes. Am I hearing a lot from clients this week saying, I've ate a lot of sweets, I love a lot of treats, I made a lot of biscuits, but I've also ate a lot of biscuits. I've ruined it, I've wrecked what I was going to do over these few weeks. Yes, I have. But what is common amongst all of those clients, all the people that say this thing, is that the fact that they have actually told themselves off a hell of a lot more than I've even breathed in to say anything, right? So they've actually already put themselves, they've built the singular event or the singular couple of biscuits into a phenomenal destruction of their whole health and fitness journey through simply berating themselves repeatedly back and forward. It's not the singular moment that's the issue, really, unless the moment goes on for like a series of hours and weeks. It's what else is happening, the context of your entire week, your entire day, your entire diet. It's a context of that sometimes I know, well, not sometimes, I know majority of people miss that. They miss perspective when it comes to a singular event. In that moment, hands down, and we've probably all done it, in that moment we will forget about the other, oh no, I was about to try and do maths, the other so many hours of the day, or all week, even worse, where I've got a calculator here somewhere, wait, I'm sure I have, look, I'll just do quick maths, so many hours of the day, moving on, says everything about me and my maths. However, there's so many hours of the weeks and that we've actually been okay with our food, better than okay, we've been great, we've made great choices, we've been healthy, we've been regular with exercise. If we take the one moment and mushroom cloud it into a huge layer of guilt, that is what we're going to carry with us forward for the rest of the day and through the rest of the week. In reality, it's all about the balance, right? A one-off isn't going to wreck your balance, okay? Now, going back to energy balance, do I think that everyone has their own individual balance that allows them to either maintain weight, lose weight, or gain weight? Yes. It's only when it becomes a massive imbalance to the rest of your week that there really is an issue. Think about it. If you have one night of the week where you have some Ben and Jerry's, and maybe a little bit more than Ben and Jerry's you plan to. If it's Kate, it's the tub, right? No, hands down, it'd be me too. Kate, tub, Halo, tub, right? It's the tub, right? If someone has the tub, is that okay? Well, yes. Kate's like this. Yes. The thumb's going. Kate's going. Yes, 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 yes. Is that okay? Yes. Right? I wish Leda was on this. She'd be like this. Ah! Emoji. Yes. It's okay to eat that if you know it's not imbalancing the whole of your week. If you know you've balanced the rest of your meals, the rest of your week, your rest of your probably entire day, if you're going to do that, towards that moment, does that need to then attach guilt afterwards? No. It's only if it becomes an imbalance. An imbalance would be, I'm having, from a coach perspective, an imbalance would be, the most I've seen is 20 splurges in a week. Okay? That's the most I've seen ever from a client. 20. Now, what in the context of a splurge or a treat would be, I don't know, or it was like a magnum. I'm not saying 20 magnums in a week, that's a lot. That contextually, it was like a magnum or a chocolate bar or a large packet of crisps or. So that would be, for me as a coach, that would be a huge imbalance. Now, I'm not also saying that anything under that is okay. For that client, was that a huge imbalance towards their goals? Yes, it was. Would one magnum be an imbalance? No. If they are really looking after the rest of the week. Would two be an imbalance? Maybe getting there, right? Well, in general, right? But the idea is that once you find your own balance, you don't have to worry about the occasion or attach guilt to the occasion. There is no need to tell yourself off. You can actually reassure yourself, more often than not, that actually you're making a wise decision and a good decision against the rest of your diet or the rest of your week if you ensure there is an imbalance towards something else. Now, yesterday I said, like, I had a lot of quiz. I said at the end of yesterday's live, I was like, you can literally have your cake and eat it and lose weight. Now, this is kind of like, yeah, not planned, but it's kind of a follow-on from that at the end of the day. If you find with your coach the perfect balance between exercising regularly, right? Eating food that helps your body have energy, right? Feel good. Do stuff that you need to do in life, like day-to-day life, right? Find ways to keep that, sustain that, make that better, do more through choosing great foods, right? And exercising regularly, yeah, to recap. And enjoying life. And if enjoying life means having some ice cream and still being able to do all the things that you could not do before you started your health journey, regardless of numbers or weight loss or weight gain or any of that, put that to one side. If you're able to, quoting someone else, to move better, if you're able to move better in life and do all the functional things that you need to do, does that then mean that one moment of eating more biscuits than something else means that you have to attach guilt and need to attach guilt and tell yourself off and use I shouldn't have done that, all the language, right, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas on yourself? Is that actually necessary for you to gain your goals and lose weight? No. No. Oh, by the way, I only got a couple of messages yesterday after yesterday's mine. But what's interesting is that I saw somebody else, another coach actually online today, who had the same challenges because she had made a statement about paleo and then got a hell of a lot of she literally just went mad. I think I was quite restrained yesterday after watching her Instagram. She'd lost her mind. Very respectable coach, by the way. She's very good. But my God, she went to town on the paleo. I felt I managed it quite well in hindsight. I could have said far worse than she did. I'm gonna watch it again later, just to go, oh, not alone. I can hear angry typing from the paleos in the background. Right. So I'm gonna recap. Okay. So just take it, if you are doing something for 4 weeks or you're on a challenge or you're creating your own challenge, it's important to know that it's not, again, about attaching guilt to a moment. It's not about seeing that one small event or one, however you want to phrase it, one small drop of water in the massive ocean of your day and your week, one moment where you actually enjoy food that's, I don't want to use the word naughty, or the rest of it, right? If you enjoy carbs, all the carbs, is that one moment, does it deserve and need to have a huge amount of guilt attached to it, especially if you're on a specific few week journey at the moment? No, it doesn't. Just sidebar on that though, I would say the one thing that also helps, right, if someone's watching and listening after saying, well, how do you manage it? Firstly, always rule number one, people, how to avoid guilt when you're eating in that, or you want to eat away from your standard for the rest of the week, is plan it, not plan it in the sky. Plan the thing you're going to eat. Okay, plan the thing you're going to eat. Plan the thing that you want. Why plan it? It's very psychologically so impactful. I can't even begin. If you don't plan your things you're going to eat, you never enjoy them as much as you think you're going to. To plan is to look forward to something. Does that drive some people and motivate people the rest of the time if they know they're really going to enjoy it? I always use this analogy, and if you work in the office, you'll get this. If you don't work in the office, you might not get this. If you work in the office, you're like, oh, I know this one. It's the situation, and I worked in an office for a while, probably the worst thing to go, but stay with me. If it's someone's birthday in a workplace, we'll say that. It's someone's birthday in a workplace, and it's that one person that brings in those flapjacks, right? It's the small square ones from a supermarket, we'll say, and they're probably going to go out of date yesterday. And you know by looking at them, they're going to taste like dust, right? You know, that is just, the thing is, it's there. It's been there for 3 hours if it's in a workplace, looking at you going, yippee, even though you know it's not going to taste nice. And what happens? You eat it. Like, I've worked in an office. I've had stuff taught to me all day from somebody's birthday food banquet. Oh, buffet. But that many buffets in places of work. Or fuddles, as they're called now. Friday huddles. that people bring food to. Same thing, right? There's always that one person who brings those shoddy flapjacks because they're £2 for £1 and taste like it too. What do we do though? We eat them mindlessly because they're there. And then what happens afterwards? Like, you speak to any client afterwards, they feel guilt. They attach guilt to the moment. And why? Because it's mindless, right? This is an important thing to remember about eating like this, and me saying it's okay to eat like this if it's in balance for the rest of your week, but also if you're going to enjoy what you're having. There ain't nothing worse when you feel guilty about eating some dusty ass flapjacks that are a day out of date. Probably someone's just picked the yellow label off when they brought it in. Everyone knows that one person, right? That one person exists in every workplace. Probably was me, so own it. It's me. That's me. I'm talking about it because I know it's me. It's me who brought them in. However, to not attach guilt and not regret something is to actually appreciate and dial into the moment. Actually be in the moment, as in I'm physically enjoying this food right now because actually I was really looking forward to it. I really do genuinely love eating this thing, whatever it is, and I didn't waste it on a dusty flapjack. Does that have as much guilt for people? No, because they've engaged in the moment and they enjoyed it and they go, do you know what? That was great. Right? When you chomp down some nasty ass flapjacks all day, not as good. Okay. And that's the thing, if you know that you're eating stuff mindlessly, that's when it turns the language into binge. When you're not mindful of what you're eating, that's when the word binge comes in, because you're not engaging anymore. You're not aware of what you're doing. To some degree, there's an unconscious eating thing going on, and that's where the language, again, to repeat, comes back to, like, I've ruined my diet, I've wrecked it, I've fudged it, right? It's the one big event that we get into that we attach a lot of guilt to. Again, mindful is a perfect word for it, right? Mindful, being mindful of how you're eating as well as what you're eating, means that your outcome, as in how you emotionally feel afterwards, will be impacted, whether you feel guilty or not. Those are huge deciding factors. So how you eat, right? How you eat and what you're choosing in the moment to go for, the two deciding factors of the emotion afterwards. So know that it's about the imbalance. So if the imbalance is there, right? If you're really going doing the 20 times a week, that is officially an imbalance, right? But we all have our own balance and imbalance based on how active we are, based on how great our choices are during the week. They all give us a balance or imbalance based on what we're choosing to have when we're eating away from our standards. So that also impacts how you're going to feel. So know your own balance, right? Ta-da! Now, okay, I hope you're sitting down. Next live is on Monday. Next live is Monday. So join me back Monday at 5 o'clock. If you haven't had enough of me, and some people have not, if you haven't had enough of me, I am doing a seminar, free seminar on stress this evening at 7:15. The Zoom link is on the UFit studio page. If you've got nothing else on, please join me where I present all about stress. Okay, so please join me for all things stressful. It's all right, Kate. It's all right. I'll still contact you tomorrow all over the weekend. You'll still hear from me. You don't get rid of me that easily, Kate. You'll just see me here on Monday. But in the meantime, I will stalk you on the other part of your life. Right. For everybody else, have a great evening. And if you don't come to the seminar tonight, I will be sad. However, I will catch you next week. See you later.